So in this video, we are going to talk about crawl spiders and how they are different from the regular Scrapy spiders. So let's get started. So on the terminal, I want you to write Scrapy Gen Spider, and instead of the spider name that you write normally, just write dash and L for list. And let's look at the output of this command. So you can see here that it says that there are basic templates, 4 basic templates which are available. So basic, so this is the default template. So if you do not give any template, this is the one which is used. And today we are going to look at the crawl template. So what we are going to do is Scrapy Gen Spider, and we will write dash T for template. In fact, if we do not give dash T, and let's create one spider, let's call it test spider, and the 4th parameter is the start URL. So I'm just putting X. Now you can see a message that it has created a spider using the template basic. So by default, basic template is used. So what we want to do is we want to specify the template using the dash T switch. And the template that we want to use is crawl. And we are going to call this spider as, let's call it books crawl. Okay. And again, the last parameter is going to be the start URL. So you can either put the actual URL of the site. So you can put this URL here like that, or you can put just X and then update it later. So let me show you what happens if we put it like that. Okay. So that's it. We have created the spider, and this time the message is different because it is saying that the template that was used is crawl. Okay. So let's open this whole folder in Visual Studio Code. So this is the folder, and here you can see that it has created these 2 spiders. So this test and the books crawl. So these 2 spiders have been created. So let's open these 2 spiders side by side and let's look at the differences. And now we can compare side by side what is the change. So here on the left side, what you have is the standard spider. So this one is the standard spider. Okay. And on the right side, what you have is the crawl spider. So these 2 imports are additional. So there are different imports here. And what you see here is it is exporting link extractor, crawl spider, and rule. So if you look at the test spider, you can quickly see that this is something which derives from Scrapy.spider. So this is the base class, Scrapy.spider. All right. And if you look at the crawl spider, here the base class is crawl spider. So this is the first difference. The same thing is both have name, allowed domain, and start URL. And then instead of parse here, so the basic spider has parse, while the crawl spider has parse items. So the parse method is gone, and that is used internally. So do not use parse method when you're writing a crawl spider. But most importantly, here we have something called rules. So this rule is the basic core principle that you need to understand how rules work. And that is where we are going to focus today. All right, so let's close this test spider and completely focus on crawl spider. Now, in case of crawl spider, as you can see that even when I gave the start URL, it is not able to determine the actual allowed domain. It's just putting all the complete URL. So this is actually bad. So that is the reason I don't like to put start URL. I just put some random X or something like that. And here there was already HTTPS and it has added HTTP. And then it has added /. In case of crawl spider, this allowed domain is very important. Otherwise, your spider will go outside the domain. It will go to Google and Facebook and whatever links are embedded inside that page. So always be careful and always provide allowed domain. Now start URL is fine. Now let's focus on rules. So I'm going to make it even bigger. All right. So rules has a lot of things here. So let's break it down into smaller pieces and then look at what is happening. So first of all, we can see that this is one rule object. So I'm going to press Ctrl X to cut it. And you can see that there is a comma which is remaining. And then you can see that this is inside a bracket. So this is a tuple. So this is the first thing to remember. Rules attribute is a tuple. Okay. And what is the rule that we created? So let's call this rule as book detail. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to, and I'm just simply pasting whatever I cut. Okay. The default rule that was created, I've just pasted in here. So I've just created one instance of rule. I'll put it here, and this one I'm going to put it back here. There is another object which has been created and supplied to this rule. So this also I'm cutting from here, and this one is link extractor. So let's call it LE book details. So why I'm doing this? Because I want to create a rule which will go and get me the book details. Okay. So now we have it. I hope so far everything is clear. Let me revise again everything what I have done. Instead of creating nested individual objects, what I've created is I've created local variables so that we can have a closer look and understand what is happening. Okay. So let's look at all the items one by one. So first of all, what we are trying to achieve. Our target is that we will go to this URL. So this is the URL where we'll be going, and then we want to get all the links to the books. Okay, so these are the links which are to the books. We will get those link or extract those link using this link extractor. Now here by default you can see that it has allow set to items slash. So what it is doing is it will extract all the links, but it will allow only the links which contains items slash in the URL. That's it. So this is the default implementation. Once again, it will extract all the links and it will allow only the links which contain this particular items, this in the URL, and everything else will be discarded, right? So this is the default implementation. But if you want to look at other options, so what we can do is we can just press Ctrl and click on it. It will open the source code of this link extractor. And if you look at the init method, we can see that there are a lot of other interesting options. So there is one allow rule. This is the one which has been written by default. There is one rule for deny. Okay. Then we have allow domain and deny domain. So this will be specifically useful when you are working with more than one domains. And then the most important ones. So which is the most important one? The restrict XPath and restrict CSS. So these are the two most important and most commonly used ones. So if you are using restrict XPath, so what you can do is you can create XPath expression. So your links will be matched with that XPath expression and only those links will be extracted. So if you are passing CSS, only the links which match with that CSS selector will be kept, everything else will be discarded. So right now it is not very clear in theory, so let's go to the actual implementation and have a look. Okay, so let's come back to our code, and what we want to do is instead of allow, we will keep CSS selector or XPath selector. So let's come back here and let's create a selector for this book detail link. Okay. If you like the video so far, please consider subscribing. So I just right click on the link and clicked on inspect. So we have this markup open here. If you're not on elements tab, you have to go to elements and then you just have a look at it. So this side here, the rules are very simple. The structure is very simple. So I believe if you look for all the H3 and look for A tags inside those H3, this should be good enough. So we can see here that if we use this expression, exactly 20 items are extracted. So you can see here 1 of 20. So this is the extracted items, and here we can see that on this page there are exactly 20 items displayed. So this CSS selector is perfectly fine. So let's copy this, come back to the code, and we will remove this allow. Okay. So now we want to restrict all the links from this page, but we want them to be restricted to this CSS, this particular CSS that we have created. Now if you have more than one parameters, you can create a tuple. So right now, because we have only one, so I'm just leaving it like that, just applying a parameter as string. So what it will do, it will extract all the links, but it will restrict them with this particular CSS criteria. So now what happens, we have the links to all the books. Okay, so this is our link extractor. Now we can create a rule. So what that rule is doing, so here if you look at the rule, so this rule is going to take this instance of the link extractor, right? So this link extractor that we just created, it will take one instance. Now this callback and this follow attribute, these are optional. So callback will only be required if you want to extract some information out of that page. So in our case, yes, we want to extract the book details, so we do need the callback, and by default it is set to parse item, so which is fine. Now what is the role of follow? So this is important. So let's go to the site and let me show you. So let's open one book here and let me see. Yes, so here on the bottom of this page, so because of this link extractor, this book detail will be extracted. This book detail will be parsed by this method, parse item, right? This callback is written here, parse items, so that will be extracted using parse item. Now, there are few other links on this page which match exactly this link extractor criteria. So this H3A. All right. So now if you look at them, so these on the bottom, these are other books which are inside this book details. So what you are doing here is you are giving the permission to follow these books, or you are denying this permission. So that is controlled by this follow argument. So here, if I set it to false, it means that I do not want my link extractor to follow this page. So I do not want this link extractor, which is extracting link using this selector, to run on this particular page. So that is what I mean by false. And now in the parse item, there is some predefined code. We can actually remove everything. And what we can do is we can create something of our own. So let's say that we want to extract the price, the title and the price. So this is H1. And I believe there is only H1 here. So this is inside the string. So yeah, there is only one H1 here. So even by using the XPath, if you look at it, there is only one H1 here. So let's call this title. And this is going to be response.css. If you want, again, you can use CSS or XPath, your choice. And let's get this sequential art. So this is class equals breadcrumb. I'm here, and then I'm going to look for li /li. Inside /li, I want to look for last, but not last -1. So this will give me the exact criteria, and then I need to get to A. So this is my selector, and this will give me the exact category. So this category is what I'm after. Okay. So this is going to be response.xpath. So again, you can mix and match XPath or CSS selector, doesn't matter. And usually printing the link is also good for debugging. And this link is going to be simply response.url. All right, let's format and see. Yeah, everything looks okay. So now if I run it, there are 20 books on this page. So if I run this spider right now, we should have 20 results. So let's run it and see. Item scrapped count as 20. So this part is done very quickly, very easily. So this is one part. Now the beauty of rules is that you can define more than one rules. So if you remember, this rule object, rules attribute is actually a tuple which is accepting more than one rule. So let's create one more rule which can take care of pagination. So let's look for the next page here. So next page is right here, and okay, it should be easy to create dot next inside dot next the child A. Okay, so this is a simple selector. Now what I can do is I can create one more link extractor, and this time let's call it link extractor for next. And this is again CSS, and this is my CSS. So what this will do, it will extract the link for the next button. All right. So this is what it is going to do. Again, I have to create one more rule object, right? And this time this rule object is going to be little bit different. So this rule object, so let me change the name, rule next. So this rule is going to take the next link extractor. There is no callback. I do not want to parse the result. Okay, so that's why I've removed the callback. And do I want to follow? Yes, I want to follow. I want to follow this rule on every page. So that's why I'm putting this as follow equals true. This is my second rule, and this second rule I'm adding to this rules attribute. And eventually both of these rules combined will create all the desired links. So now if everything is okay, we should have all the links here. So how many results are there? So as you can see that there are total 75. So all these 75 results should be there in the output. Complete it very quickly. And as we can see that we have 75 items scrapped. So this was a very quick way. Now we can actually, how we can expand it, we can create a selector which selects all the navigation links here. So it's a long selector. Probably I can work on it to make it pretty, but anyway, doesn't matter. So this is going to give us 50, and let's verify that this is giving us all the links. So quickly I'm pressing Shift Enter so that it goes up, and perfect. So now we have one more rule. So what we can do, we can create one more link extractor, and let's call this categories, or just call it cats for example, for just to make it short. And this is the selector. All right. And now we need to create one more rule, and this rule is going to be rule cats, and this is going to take the reference of this. And of course we want to keep the follow as true, and we don't want to add a callback because callback is only for book details. So now finally we are going to add this to our rules. So it's a 3-step process. We are going to create a link extractor, we are going to create an instance of rule, and then we are going to add that to rules attribute. So now if I run this, that's it. Very quickly it completed the run, and we can see here that item scrapped count is 1000 here. So I know for a fact that this particular site contains 1000 items. Only in 31 lines we created a spider which can get all the books from the site. So that's all for now. Leave me a comment if you have any doubts or if you want to ask some questions. I'll see you in the next one.